Hello, I'm James Preston and welcome to another edition of Executive Corner Expert Talks, exclusive to Kalkine TV. The burgeoning demand for electric vehicles has been stimulating the demand for lithium-ion batteries across the world, and it's a demand that is expected to increase moving forward. Jindalee Resources is tapping this lucrative market opportunity via its high-grade projects in the US, and to take us through the finer points of exactly how they're doing this, Executive Director of Jindalee Resources, Lindsay Dudfield, joins me. Lindsay, welcome to Kalkine.
Yes, James, thanks very much for the invitation to present to you and your investors.
Well, great to have you here, Lindsay. Let's start off with acquainting some of our viewers who might not be familiar with Jindalee. What exactly is it that your company does and what is the scale of your operations?
Okay, well, Jindalee's lead project is the McDermott lithium project, which is located in the western United States of America. It's currently the second largest lithium deposit in the United States. And as you know, that President Biden has pledged net zero emissions by 2050. And to achieve this, he is looking to electrify the US economy. In fact, he's targeting 50% of new vehicle sales by 2030 will be EVs. There's already been a $1 trillion bipartisan bill passed to start to give some of these plans, put them into effect. And there's currently a $2 trillion, it's called the Build Back Better bill, sitting before the US Senate. And that includes just a bit over $550 billion earmarked to try to incentivise and encourage adoption of renewable energy and EVs. So lithium is a critical mineral in the United States. It's deemed as critical by the US government. There's bipartisan support for the development of critical mineral deposits. And so you can see why we're very excited that we find ourselves in the right place with the right project at the right time.
I think you're 100% on the money. It's not just the US, of course, as well. There's a general shift in society to try and get to that greener future that we're talking about. I was speaking with a representative from BMW the other day, and he was saying that globally they're looking to have 50% of all of their vehicles being EVs by the end of the decade. So there is a big shift occurring at the moment. How do you see Jindalee capitalising on that surging demand for lithium, though?
Well, there is currently only one operating lithium mine in the United States. It's the Silver Peak mine. It's a brine project. It's owned by Albemarle, a very large US lithium company, and that currently produces around about 5,000 tonnes per year of lithium carbonate. There's a group called Benchmark Minerals who have done a lot of research into lithium. They're probably the world leaders in covering the lithium supply-demand space, and they predict that the United States will need around 340,000 tonnes of lithium carbonate by 2030. So that's less than 10 years, and the demand for lithium in the US to satisfy the electrification, the build of EVs, lithium-ion batteries for energy storage, etc. They'll need 68 times more lithium than they currently produce. So we think large projects like McDermott, as I said, it's the second largest lithium deposit in the United States. So it's got the potential to supply lithium to the US for decades. We think projects such as McDermott are critical to the US economy and their plans to electrify the economy.
We mentioned it being critical to the economy, but do you think that a project like the McDermott project could actually help the US become completely self-sufficient for their lithium requirements?
Well, you're going to need more than McDermott, but there are McDermott is a new emerging style of lithium deposit. So currently, pretty well all of the world's lithium production comes from pegmatites, mostly in Western Australia, and where I'm currently. I'm talking to you from Perth, and from brines, which are mainly in South America. Chile, Argentina, and southern Bolivia. But the McDermott, and there's a number of other large deposits of this type, is called a sediment-hosted lithium deposit. They're a new emerging class of deposit. They're very, very large, low grade, but as I said, they have the potential to supply lithium for decades, and so that makes them potentially very, very valuable to help fill the gap, supply the demand for lithium, which is coming. And as you said, it's not just the US that's looking to electrify its economy. You've also got Europe, which is pushing very, very hard to legislate in favour of electric vehicles. And China also has a very big push to reduce its carbon emissions. So you've got three major sort of global sectors of the global economy, all sort of looking for lithium, and it's in very short supply at the moment, and forecast to be in short supply for quite a period of time. And large deposits, low-grade deposits like McDermott do have the potential to help satisfy that shortfall.
Well, Lindsay, a lot of the push is obviously there to try and get into a greener world with less carbon emissions, net zero neutrality, those kind of things. Is it even possible? And I suppose one question as well being, we obviously have electronic vehicles being sort of at the forefront of this movement. What's the process in creating an electronic vehicle though? Is there a lot of pollution created in the actual process of making the product itself?
Oh, look, I'm not the right person to talk to about that, James. I'm a geologist, and my job is to find the minerals that will be necessary to help electrify the economy, and perhaps wean ourselves off fossil fuel and charge these lithium-ion batteries using renewable energy, wind and solar, etc. So look, I mean, there's a lot of debate going on about the if you like, the total carbon used to generate the metals and for example EVs, and then also in the construction of the EVs. But look, much smarter people than me have decided that this is the way the world needs to go to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and so my role is to help provide the metals necessary to achieve this end.
Absolutely, and look, I'm sure you're selling yourself short there where you say there are smarter people than you making those kind of decisions. I think we can put you right up there, Lindsay. Don't sell yourself short, mate. But what factors would you say provide Jindalee with a competitive edge over other names in the lithium space at the moment?
Well, there's probably four things that really help us stand out, I think, from other lithium companies. First of all, location. As I've already highlighted, there's a looming shortage of lithium in the United States. There's also a very big push for the United States to take control of its own supply lines, particularly of critical minerals like lithium. Most people probably are aware that China currently controls between 60 and 80% of the processing of the lithium chemicals used for lithium-ion batteries. And, this is obviously of concern to the Western world and the US. So we have a very, very large lithium deposit in the form of our McDermott project, right there in the United States, so a domestic source of lithium. Another factor which is working in our favour, if you like, is that we already have this looming shortage of lithium, and the scale of the McDermott deposit is really important. It's very, very big. It's capable of providing lithium for EV makers in the US for decades, so that's very important. So the location, the scale, and also probably from an investor's point of view, Jindalee looks very good value compared to our peers. If you compare Jindalee's market cap, which is currently around $130 million Australian, with that of our peers, we stand out as being anomalously good value. And that's obviously something that we're working to improve and to create more value for investors. But obviously, those that can see that we are on the right track, and we are good value compared to our peers. There's an opportunity there.
Lindsay, you made mention there as well about China running around about 60% of lithium projects across the world, and obviously that being a bit of a concern for the West. How would that process go in terms of trying to expand, for example, what Jindalee's doing? Could you go into those areas and potentially, for example, outbid one of the Chinese developers in one of those areas to try and take control of a mine, or is it a no-go zone of sorts?
We think it would be very difficult for a Chinese company to acquire a critical minerals project in the United States. And lithium is a critical mineral as listed by the US government. So we think, and we aren't competing with the Chinese processes. They're probably in some ways they're assisting us because it's true what you say. The Chinese have been very proactive in securing global lithium supplies. They have been prepared to go into projects that are probably considered higher risk than many of other companies would, more advanced Western companies would consider, and as a result, they've been able to put their foot on a lot of lithium to then secure their processing facilities back in China, and also their demand for electric vehicles and renewable batteries for storage of renewable energy going forward. So that's created, I guess, a bit of almost like a panic now. You're starting to see amongst Western EV makers wondering where they're going to get the lithium to basically build lithium-ion batteries for the EVs, and so you're starting to see a lot of EV makers doing transactions with emerging lithium producers to try to put their foot on the lithium that they need for the batteries.
Well, Lindsay, we've focused a lot on your US operations so far. Can you also run us through your Australian projects?
Sure. You're right. The Jindalee's focus has been on the lithium and McDermott in particular, but we're a project generator, and we've generated some really interesting projects outside of the US and in Australia, and particularly probably our main focus outside of McDermott is our Widgie-Milford project, which is located about 90 kilometres south of Kalgoorlie in Western Australia. It's a really good jurisdiction for mining. It's very mining friendly. There's fantastic infrastructure. So we've got about 1,000 square kilometres. It's all 100% owned. And we've been building that up over the last 5 years. It's getting to the stage now where we're ready to start doing some serious work on the ground. It's got fantastic mineral, the province, the Widgie-Milford area has got fantastic mineral endowment. There are operating gold mines, nickel mines, and also lithium mines actually surrounding us and within, well, in some cases immediately along strike from our ground. And we've been quietly working up targets for drill testing next year, and we expect, you'll hear a lot more about Widgie-Malta over the coming months. It's going to be pretty interesting things happening there, I think, through 2022.
And Lindsay, just before I let you go, JRL has been one of the best performing lithium stocks on the ASX in 2021. How does the company intend to deliver shareholder value in the next 12 months?
Well, the primary driver for value, I believe, still remains our McDermott project. As you've heard, it's a really strategic, very large, long life project, and we've got very strong tailwinds for lithium currently. We put out a scoping study in September now, and we optimised the deposit. So there's these optimised open pits that we use to generate the study, and they were optimised at $11,000 a tonne lithium carbonate. Well, the price is currently around $30,000 a tonne, so it's come up a lot in a very short space of time, and it's forecast to because of to go into deficit next year and that deficit to increase for as far as the eye can see. It's pretty amazing, actually. So that's going to be the main value driver for the company in the coming 12 months. And we've just on Monday actually announced that we'd had 39 holes approved for new holes for drilling at McDermott, and drilling's commenced. So we've got a diamond core rig on site currently drilling away. We've got an RC rig which is on its way to site. So we'll be drilling through to Christmas and generating mainly infill drilling to convert our inferred resource as much as we can to indicated. We've also got metallurgical test work going on. We've got 1,000 kilos of which 800 kilos is in the US and 200 kilos is on its way to Australia to do some metallurgical test work, because that's a key to unlocking the value at McDermott. Really is the metallurgy. We're looking to commence environmental baseline studies early next year out of the spring study, and we're also starting to engage. Oh, and also obviously we've got McDermott. Drilling at McDermott coming up, starting over the next few months. There'll be drilling programs running through there. We're also starting to engage with North American investors and corporates. We think that's important, particularly given the interest in McDermott. And look, there's a lot going on, a lot planned for next year. I would also just remind your investors that Jindalee is very tightly held. We've got a very tight capital structure. We've only got 54 million shares on issue, and that creates fantastic leverage, share price leverage on success. And so we're giving ourselves every chance of generating some really positive news next year, both in the US and in Australia. And so look, I'd encourage your investors to at least put us on your watch screen.
Well, look, 2022 sounds very exciting for what Jindalee is doing. Also, you mentioned that you're going to be drilling into Christmas. I'm sure you'll be able to get some nice lithium put in the stockings and have a very Merry Christmas with your shareholders. Lindsay, thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, no, good on you, James. Much appreciated. Cheers.
That's Lindsay Dudfield, the Executive Director of lithium-focused Jindalee Resources. And if you missed any part of that interview, you can catch the full chat shortly on our YouTube channel, Kalkinemedia, so don't forget to subscribe. That's all for this Expert Talk. I'm James Preston, reminding you to stay apprised and invest wise with Kalkine.